episode. Studio. Good morning and thank you so much. Good morning and welcome to the Grapevine 91. My name is Valentine Ohu and I'm joined by my brothers, my friends. I got Oris,
Good morning, Valentine. Good morning, Lagos, and good morning wherever you're listening to us from.
and James Silas.
Yeah.
Well done.
Good morning, Lagos.
Well
What's
done.
happening?
We're good. We're good. How are you?
I'm very well. Before we go too far, can I just quickly say
Yes, please.
shout out to my friend Uju. Happy birthday.
Yes.
Hope you're good.
And shout out to another, in fact, not another, the special one.
The actual.
Lakumi!
Lakumi!
Yesterday was Lakumi's birthday, and she's in the habit of hiding her birthdays. She does not want. I'll quote her. She says, Joe, I don't have time to reply all the messages. I'm like, you are going to reply WhatsApp, Instagram, Facebook. We put it out there. So happy birthday, Lakumi. And if you know her and if you love smooth breakfast, please find her number or find her on social media at Olakumi or at Lakumi and send a message. All right, let her
Such
know.
a great setup.
I know. I promised I was going to do this. I live up to my promises. The conversation goes down here on YouTube as well. We're streaming live, so type Smooth FM Lagos in the search box, subscribe and watch, and leave a comment. On WhatsApp 0809 And if you can tell us that part, if you can guess what the words in that part of the lyric or the song that starts the show, the Grapevine, intro.
By the time using it to catch trips.
Yeah.
Just tired.
We'll give you something. We'll give you something, courtesy Oris.
What? What?
Let's start this conversation, please. So there's been dating rumors. We trust our social media investigators, CIA, FBI of Instagram, and all the socials. They've pulled up receipts to show, allegedly, that Lilian Esoro could be dating footballer Odion Ighalo. Remember, you can always react to any of these stories on WhatsApp. All right. So Nollywood actress, as the story holds, Lilian Esoro and Super Eagles footballer Odion Ighalo have continued to spark dating rumors or romance rumors. There was a picture that she posted some days ago saying, "Candid moments are the best. The boo gets me always." Interestingly, according to our investigative journalist, Ighalo also shared the same photo from the same restaurant on his IG page and says, "When God says it's your time, no one can stop it. Hashtag birthday in a bit." Going by the caption and similarities in the pictures, remember those pictures they used to post in newspapers? It's to spot the difference. Could this be one of those? Could it be just a mistaken coincidence, Horace?
I don't know. I do not think it's coincidental. I think the FBI resident on Instagram and on Twitter and wherever it is there, I think those guys are right. But I also think it's not our business, is it? I also think it's not our business. But yeah, I mean, but I think the way the in quotes dating world works amongst celebrities is that footballers are drawn to actresses. So in a sense, these guys, Ighalo and Lilian, if anything is actually happening, are merely living a cliche. And I guess in terms of looks, not a bad idea, I think. But yes, I shall keep further comments to myself. Thank you very much.
James Silas.
Yeah. I mean, we live, or social media is a place where everybody's business is
Everybody's
other people's
business.
business.
Exactly.
So, it was funny. I saw the picture that was shared. It was as if they were on the same, and then of course, clearly taken with different cameras and different perspectives, and people just use the table to, join one or two together. So it will be
yeah,
interesting. Like I don't really care if they're dating. I mean, because other people have been talking about whether Ighalo is still married or legally married or not. So
Yeah, and Lilian just got, months ago, she got the
proper
finally
divorce.
from
Yes,
Ubi, right?
yes. So I mean, they are both adults. Everybody.
Free agents.
They are, yes, and it's seeming like with Ighalo's separation from the wife, allegedly. I don't know if it's true.
No, I mean, yes. I mean, they confirmed that they both took out their wedding bands. They don't know where wedding rings according to the
Yeah, but
investigation.
if it's not legal, it's not legal, right?
Yes, if it's
Eh-heh.
not legal, it's not legal.
Is that not
Exactly.
what? Is
So
that not
it's
what
not
kind of
about,
what got
it's not about
Fritz
photo
into
ops.
trouble the other time?
Exactly.
Right.
Really asking to pay like a fine for
So if
and
you
they
ask
Yes.
why this is news, this is why.
Yes.
fair enough. Fair enough. Lagos, I hope you heard that.
Uh-huh.
This is
So
why
I
it is
mean,
named.
it's what it is. Well, why not?
Mm.
They are both adults. They might look. I think they look good together if they're
Yeah,
together.
Lilian is an exceptionally beautiful woman.
Mm.
Yeah.
Um,
So judging from the pictures that
Yeah.
I'm looking at, right, she's sitting on one side of the table, like at the end of the table. The tone, in fact, the lighting of the set,
the whole thing actually,
the
the
picture,
aesthetics of the
aesthetics,
photo,
everything is similar.
similar to the other.
The
Yeah.
angle of the shot of the footballer Ighalo was taken from somebody who would be sitting where Lilian is sitting.
Left and right.
Yes.
Yeah. There we go.
Yeah, so it makes sense.
What's that thing is to see on Twitter? My view, have you, right?
Exactly.
Of course. Of
This
course.
guy. This guy. Our view. My view. His view.
Yeah,
Our view.
exactly,
Anyway,
right?
Yeah. Let's move on from that gossip. Talk about more interesting matters now. T-Boss, the former BB Nigeria female housemate, slammed parents who was always dressed their children like adults on social media. She re-echoed the thoughts shared similarly by some celebrities in Hollywood. Said according to going by her experience, she's a mother of one. That she feels like it's distasteful for mothers to dress their kids, especially their daughters, as slave queens. Like, why would you want to force your children to act like adults? Some people go as far as making their children twerk and do certain adult dance moves on social media just for likes and engagements, which is pretty absurd. And she said, first, quote, I used to follow a lot of baby pages, but some of these little girls are just slave queens. It's just disturbing to see. What are your thoughts on this, James?
Personally, sometimes when children do stuff, I believe that it starts with them seeing their parents or watching TV, and because I mean personally, as someone who's also a father, there are things that I don't let my child watch on TV. I mean, she has restrictions as to even what she does with her iPad. Her iPad is so much connected to me that she cannot even go beyond certain points. She's unable to do that. The same thing with TV. I don't allow them watch adult TV. So and then they're also not allowed to look at if an adult has his or her phone around. They're not allowed to go and look at your phone. It doesn't matter. You can't look at. So it's restricted, and that's something that really, really very much enforced. And so they know it's wrong to go and if an adult's on the phone, you just go and look at the phone. No, you can't. You can't borrow the phone to say you want to play a game. It's just not allowed. So when it comes to all of these things, I said it depends on how people or how you raise the child and how even you as a person, how you are wired. So if I'm not allowing my child watch adult TV, I don't know how. Of course, there are sometimes you may not be around that environment. You have helps at home. You have some uncles and aunts who are around who don't really understand these things. I mean, I've had situations where I actually called out or called the school because I heard the school bus playing radio, and they're playing certain songs on radio. Now, not that those songs, of course, radio content are regulated or censored.
Yes.
But even at that, some of these songs are still songs that I don't want her to hear on radio. So I get to tell them, like, please, I don't want children listening to radio and adult radio. I don't want them listening to it.
Yeah.
So when it comes to those dances as well, like I said, they've seen those things on TV before they even start enacting it. I don't think the parents get to teach them those things. But even at that, we should be able to control what the children wear, what the children. So there's another angle where we say their children don't even understand these things. Maybe you should not let them, or let's not stress it. But I think it's okay to start training them in the right path already before we get to that point where we're saying, oh no, why are you going beyond this point?
Well, speaking of limitations, right? Let's look at it in this perspective of adapting to the times or with the times, right? When in the age where kids manipulate social media more than we do, and there are a lot of features that they make use of in creating TikTok videos or Instagram reels that most of us adults are oblivious to, right? But in terms of exposing them to the use of technology, because it's the tool of the future. What would you say? I mean, would that limitation not impair their growth?
No, it
You
will
know?
not. Absolutely, I don't think so.
Because there are censorship or essential, I mean, censorship tools, right? They're available on smartphones. That's why they are smart. So
Yes.
isn't it wise for parents to have those limitations set on the devices themselves, as
Oh,
against
yeah.
preventing their daughters or kids?
Oh yeah, of course. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That like for me, we have these platforms. Let me say Google, for instance, has the option of what's it called? I can't remember the name, what it's called, but it's an app that lets you, or a part of the
Parental control.
yeah, thank you, parental control, and it also gives you an app exclusive to connecting the children's account to yours. Because I mean, I had no
YouTube
choice
does
but
that
to
as well.
exactly, I had no choice but to let them have an account, because during the lockdown last year, schools had to use one of the Google educational tools to teach.
A lot of apps, yes.
Yes. So automatically they had to create accounts for them and then connected it to my own restriction, where I'm able to press certain buttons to say they cannot go. So even if they try to search for certain things that are not under their age bracket, they are unable to see it or have access to it, and that's a way to manage that list.
I like how you stressed on the responsibility on the part of the
Absolutely.
parents, because they have a strong role to play.
Yeah.
But Horace, as an aspiring dad,
He says aspiring that.
looking at the fact, first, I'm not even going to ask you what gender you would like to have first, but I could, as I have indirectly.
I beg, please. I shall just focus on
You don't even know if
the. I
you
shall
did that
focus on
already.
what Sibo said
No,
actually.
because the thing is,
you know?
adults have sentiments towards, depending on your preference, right? Some people say, "Oh, I'd rather have a girl child."
No
first
worry, it's a
because-"
very popular stuff. But like I said, that one is not my. It's
not
not
a
my
concern.
beeswax. Yeah. So anyway, but yeah, about this thing, one of the things I remembered when I saw the Sibo's post was the video for Olamide's Owoblo. Excellent song to my mind, but that video is problematic. You know, there's a particular scene. You know, they are jump cuts they employ in music videos where you're not quite sure where they were like a group of 3 dancers. 3 of them were kids. Then there was another group of, I think, 3 dancers as well, adults. And because of the way it was edited, it was not quite clear at the point in which it was either the kids dancing or where the adults were dancing, because they're dancing similarly. You know, and these are like, most of them were like twerking or like doing provocative, sexual. So I was just like, okay, the video kind of like indicts the viewer. So because you're like, okay, are these women dancing or are these kids dancing? And those kind of things, I feel like such a thing worries me personally, because I am thinking to myself that if you were a parent, so in fact, if you're just an adult, I think it should be a bit worrisome. Like, what are you supposed to achieve when you're getting kids to dance like adults and they're wearing the same costume as the adults?
And dance to songs like Naira Marley's.
Yeah, so it's a bit, yeah. So for me, I mean, that's like an actual video. That's the Olomide video, you know. So it's not even like a reaction video or something, or a dance video online. It was actually the main video which showed everywhere. And I was like, this is an issue. I think it's a big, I think it's a big problem when kids are kind of forced or coerced into becoming adults, even if only in this particular space so soon. I think it's wrong. And yeah, and I think James is entirely correct. A lot of this has to do with the parents. As somebody pointed out in the report, most of these women, I mean, I guess the mothers are using their kids to pretty much go through the lives that they didn't quite have when they were growing up. But I'm like, you know what, there has to be a line drawn between your fantasy and your child's life going forward. Because this exposure to sexual content, I think, is already too much in the air anyway, you know. So there's no reason for a parent to now be the one also increasing that even in the home. So yeah, it's worrisome, and I hope that I guess anyone hearing this pretty much thinks twice before going through stuff like that.
Because this has been happening. We'll own up to the truth that this has been happening
for a while. Yes, indeed.
Way longer
That's
than
true.
social media. Because you see at children's parties, even 1-year parties, you find children being subjected to dance to the songs that the DJ picks, all in the name of fun and creating competition around that. So yeah, it's good we mentioned this and we speak about it. But Tibos, thank you so much for raising this concern. Stay with us here on Smooth 98.1. It's 8:30. You're listening to the Grapevine 98.1 and Smooth 98.1. I'm Valentine and I have James Silas.
Yeah.
I have Aris.
Hey,
Stay with us. We'll be back.
before you infect us with your shouting. Next time to be Yepa.
Yeah,
Maybe the next one. But look, this is not even fair. You know that there's this whole issue. I don't know if anybody has heard about it. This Chimamanda issue, just like last night. Okay, you guys didn't hear about it, so that's why it's not
No,
here.
no. Is it
Anyway,
the
but she,
mother-in-law? Abi?
the
The
mother-
father,
Share it now, please.
the father dance, the
no,
mother
no, no, no,
daughter
no, no.
dance.
That's like
Okay.
weeks ago.
What?
But yeah, she wrote something about someone. She didn't mention any name. Well, actually, about two people
Mm.
who have been attacking her over the years, saying that
Mm.
she's transphobic. Well, of course,
Oh.
everybody knows about that word now. I mean,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
you get, so she had like this response in it, and it was just in the just yesterday night. Actually, this morning I
Mm.
saw that she posted it like early yesterday morning, but this morning I saw that the New York Times had
Picked
written
it.
about picked up
Mm.
the whole thing because the person who is assumed she was talking to is also quite prominent in the writing space in the West.
Oh,
They are both, of course, they are both Nigerians. You get, so
okay.
it's like two
You
Nigerian
said that both
writers
in what
fighting,
space in
Yeah.
the West?
Writing.
writing.
What happened to that? No, what's the reference you made about the writing space thing? I missed.
No, they are both
I'm
writers.
saying they're both Nigerians,
Mm.
No,
both
the person
writers.
accused her.
Yes,
Oh.
also the Nigerian as well. But yeah, but she says she's trans, and she says that Adichie is transphobic, and she has been saying it. So Adichie just
Transphobic is what
responded,
exactly?
transpho.
Like opposed to
People.
trans people.
Yes, it's like
Yes.
homophobic
Yeah,
now,
homophobic.
exactly.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
opposed to trans people. But yeah, Adichie's whatever. What she said that caused it was in 26. Was it
Yeah,
2017?
yeah.
2 or 3 years ago, Sha, where she was saying that J.K. Rowling's the Harry Potter author
Yeah.
Mm. Mm.
said that trans women are trans women and women are women.
Yes.
So and Aditya gave an interview where she said, you know what, she thinks that is perfectly reasonable.
Mm.
So it was at that point in time that this other lady, who is Nigerian and at least claiming trans, said that Aditya was wrong and she was encouraging the harm
Mm.
of trans people. Anyway, just a big thing. So anyway, finally, after all of these years, Aditya finally responded yesterday morning.
I saw it.
Um,
I'm reading it now.
yeah, so it's yeah.
Um,
But it's a long piece. I
yeah.
don't think it's quite long.
I'm going to highlight it and then you take it away.
Okay.
Wow. All right.
This one like people, they're everywhere. Oh.
Guys,
How
you're
much money do they
investing,
have?
you're
My
investing
goodness.
heavily. All right, let's go back.
Everywhere.
Everybody is here, and it's the Grapevine 91 and Smooth 98.1. My name is Valentine Ohu, and this is Smooth Breakfast. I've got James Silas.
Yeah.
And Horace.
Good morning. No more, yeah.
Like a normal person.
Exactly.
Oh, I'm not normal.
Sorry,
supernatural,
James.
man.
No.
You're a super being.
You're supernatural
Stop
indeed.
shouting, please.
No, I'm not even shouting.
It's 27
Just
minutes.
emphasizing. Like,
Oh,
yeah.
Oh, wow.
Oh my goodness.
27 minutes before 9 o'clock. Please send those messages to WhatsApp. Thank you so much, Chris, for that wish. For Lakumi is asking for a birthday cake. Lakumi, are you?
Me too. I'm asking for
Can
cake
you
too,
hear?
please.
Yeah. Send them down.
All of us.
Let's get back to the stories now. You can watch live on YouTube. Those on YouTube are getting the first-hand gist behind the scenes. So join us there and subscribe, please. Smooth FM Lagos is what you can type to find us. Now, Chimamanda Ngozi Adichie had some accusations to deal with and reacted to them yesterday morning. She's written a detailed essay about the conduct of young people on social media who are choking on sanctimony and lacking in compassion, in her words. And she describes them, or she says, they're part of a generation so terrified of having the wrong opinions that they've robbed themselves of the opportunity to think and learn and to grow. I made a reference to this in one of my posts recently, actually a post that I reacted to. That I was talking some, breaking this down, her statements, and analyzing how some of us are so careful on social media, especially Twitter before it was banned. I remember early 2009 when I joined Twitter. It was so free. You could have Twitter families. You interacted so loosely, so happily, without a care that one of your tweets could be pulled back to judge you tomorrow. So hence the reservations these days. But the essay she wrote is titled "It Is Obscene." It was published by the Nigerian novelist and feminist on her website on Tuesday. It attracted so much attention that the website temporarily crashed. The essay goes into her interactions with two unnamed writers who attended Adichie's Lagos writing workshop. Both later criticized her on social media for her comments about transgender people and feminism in a 2017 Channel 4 interview, saying a trans woman is a trans woman. Now, at the time, Adichie rejected the claim that she did not believe that trans women were women, saying, quote, of course they are women, but in talking about feminism and gender and all of that, it's important for us to acknowledge the differences in experience of gender. Is this, in your own interpretation, Oris, an antagonism against trans people?
Frankly, I do not think that's the case. I think there should be space for disagreement. I do not think part of the problem here is that Adichie was accused of endorsing the harm of trans people, and I feel like that's an incredibly dishonest misinterpretation of what Adichie stands for and what she actually even said. To be honest, I feel like there's such a huge gap between. Oh, I don't think that you are entirely correct, and I think that you should be killed. Those are not the same thing. I don't understand how people have gone from here to the other one. And so part of the problem here is that Adichie over the years has been silent, and these people have been repeatedly attacking her. I think it was the interview she did a while ago, months ago, I think, with what's his name, the former big guy, Ibuka.
Okay.
Yes. So that's when she said,
It's
"Oh,
still,
that."
it's still the present. Oh, go on.
Okay, fair enough. But yeah, yeah. So in which she said, now that she felt a bit no two things. Okay, so she said something. She wrote an essay for the New Yorker magazine, and said that now that her parents were now that her dad no, I think it was her dad at the time, yes, now that her dad had died, she would be free, so to speak, to say certain things. And also in that interview she did with Ebuka, she said that um, she had let these people say what they wanted to say for a long time, but she was going to react finally. So I think yesterday morning was the publication of like a reaction to what they've been saying over the years. And I think it's a perfectly reasonable thing for her to be like unhappy about how they've been going about characterizing what she didn't, what she said differently. Yeah. So I think Adichie is like many of us, trying to come to terms with what all of this means. But the people who are, I guess, for some reason, anti her, don't like her, I guess, have decided to interpret it mischievously. And so we are at a corner where, suddenly Adichie has to defend herself publicly about this stuff. And then, even that yesterday, the person she didn't name the writers, but if you're in the writing scene, you know everybody she's talking about, the two people she's talking about. Everybody who's writing scene knows these two people. I was in the workshop, actually, years ago, I think 2014 or thereabout. And I think the people she's referring to showed up in the year after me or 2 years after me. And I remember I was there myself. It was a decent thing at the time, but I think a year after, it was no longer so. People were not. I
Because
mean,
one of the
they were no longer
authors,
families anymore.
one of the authors mentioned Chimamanda in the biography of one of her book.
Yes, and
her first
Adichie,
novel.
yes,
Yes.
and she had attacked Adichie publicly.
Yes.
So Adichie, sent a message, sent an email to her to her agent and said, you know what, get this lady to take my name off her book. Which, I mean, two things. On the one hand, you could say that Adichie could have been, magnanimous and say, you know what, let it go. But at the same time, I guess Adichie felt hurt by the way
Of
she
course.
reacted to her publicly
Yeah.
and said, you know what, I do not think you should, I think to quote her, I don't think you should benefit from my name if you are this caustic about me publicly, which is, I think, reasonable. It's like you say this about me publicly. We haven't spoken about this thing privately at all. We haven't apologized or anything, and suddenly you want to like benefit from using my name on your book. That doesn't seem quite
It's
fair.
like cloud chasing.
Actually, that is a lot of what I think it is, to be honest. And again, the thing is, a lot of this is because we haven't quite created like an ecosystem for writing or this writing of this type in Nigeria.
Yeah.
So a lot of these people need to perform for the West. Because of course, I do not know that we are incredibly interested heavily as Nigerians in the whole trans argument.
But
If-
it's,
it's like a
highly
huge,
sensitive topic.
huge thing, exactly. So
Yeah.
I think people who want to like catch the attention of the West, and they know of course Adichie is quite this huge big figure in the West, they feel like if you attack her and you are speaking to the trending ideology currently in the West, it means that you get attention. And if you get attention, you might get things like fun, you might get things like magazine covers, you might get I mean all the world will come to you technically.
Yeah, like a
And I
popular
think that
psychology.
that's kind of what is happening. There's this manipulative thing going on with all of that. Because I was saying this yesterday to my friends that, you know what, I do not think that we care a lot about this stuff. I mean, one of the most, maybe the most, in quotes, the most identity, sexuality whole person here, I think, is Bobrisky, right? I think that these days, people are pretty much either amused by him or even accepting. So I don't think anybody is asking anybody to kill a person like Bobrisky. So why exactly is this
Or
such a big
defaming.
thing? Or defaming, it's just some people just accept and you know what, this is how this lady is, and that's that about that. But if you want to perform to the West, these are things they feel like they have to do. So I think Adichie is just caught up in all of this. Unfortunately, she's kind of, you could say that she, um, during her early years, where she was speaking a lot about feminism, a lot of the same rhetoric, this kind of loudness, the kind of insistence is what these people too are using now, the same kind of like tools. But end of the day, I guess we can agree with feminism, and we can also say, you know what, maybe we don't quite get what's happening with the trans community, and maybe we need some more time to like pretty much get that. But in the meantime, we can agree to disagree, right? So there's no need to say there's no need to say Aditya is trying to kill anybody. She isn't.
Or trying to call you bad.
Exactly. Yeah, she isn't. She isn't. She's just saying, you know what, maybe we should assume that women are women and trans women are trans women.
Yes.
And maybe there could be a debate,
It's
but
almost
there's
like-
really no reason to say that she's trying to kill anybody. That's unfair.
At first read, what I
Yeah.
interpreted Ngozi's Chimamanda's words to mean, or statement to mean, was that trans people don't necessarily sit in a position to speak of women and their experiences in a wholesome sense, as much as
Which I think is a fair point to make, right? Because I mean, before the transition, I think their women's experiences are two totally different things. So it's a bit
especially going
tricky.
from man to woman. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's exactly, in fact, precisely about that. So yeah, so it's tricky to say, they all have the same encompassing different experiences. It's simply not true.
It's sensitive.
So yeah, it's a very sensitive issue, at least in the West. Very
interested.
sensitive.
One of them, actually, her name is Akweze Emezi. Akweke rather, Emezi. Thank you. She tweeted 2 days after the novel was released, saying and explained rather that Adichie asked that her name be removed from my bio everywhere because of my tweets online. Most were about her transphobia.
Alleged transphobia. Because I don't think she's actually transphobic.
Thank you so much for that. But James, do you have any quick thought to share?
Yeah, I mean, I think you guys have actually nailed it. It's the fact that we cannot, the contexts are different. The trans, somebody who used to be a man, now becoming a woman, cannot share the equal struggle that the actual women, have gone through.
We were born women.
Born women have gone through. I mean, and then it's easy to actually label somebody who's speaking up or who's actually laying emphasis on that particular fact to label the person to be phobic about that particular, and then sometimes, which is why I also agree with always saying that it's, it's a subject for conversation or discussion, because you don't even need to be a woman to be a feminist, right?
Indeed.
So sometimes I think it's just putting some of these statements into context, so that both the people in question or people concerned will sort of understand that you're not attacking whatever it is that they've decided to do as against what you're actually trying to address. But above all, I just still have that. I don't want problem.
Yes, I don't want problem. That's the truth. After this,
as writers, I'm supposed to read between the lines. I'm supposed to be an expert in understanding hidden meanings in words. But anyway, moving on from that, let's quickly take messages. Now, this one from Cruz says, children, especially those younger than 10, are actually more vulnerably exposed than we think. Teenagers and adolescents want to behave and look like adults, which is part of the developmental growth process, but they also directly or indirectly influence younger children. It takes a conscious community effort to protect the children. I would steal some of James's style from today. Ali says Chimamanda has a power with writing a beg. I don't even know English that much, by the way. I read every word she pens down, and it excites me. There's been a trend of the new words that learned by Chimamanda or learned from Chimamanda on a daily basis that I caught up with yesterday. He said, as much as I feel sorry for whatever hurt she must have felt, that those writers attacked on social media, I respect her writing power. Also, I felt that she should not have had a say about transgender that year when she was asked the question. She could have let the question slide instead of allowing herself to be thrown into the matter.
That's not Chimamanda's style. Nah, that's not her style.
So he continues, says she's a woman. She should feel like a woman. She should not be able to tell what transgenders should feel like. I don't think she was trying to dictate how they should feel.
No, she wasn't.
She was just giving her opinion because she was asked a question and she's not one to be quiet, like Ori said. Let's talk about Chrissy, who's very outspoken, who's not afraid to troll even the president of the United States, or former president. in a very brief analysis, guys, let's go through the progress. I mean, demise so far of not demise.
Not demise. Not demise. Not demise.
I'm taking on Chrissy's spirit because if she was just talking to you, you probably wish she told somebody once in her one of her bullying series of bully tweets that you're better off dead.
Yeesh.
And
Yeesh.
the
Yeah,
guy said he
she
went
did.
through depression for years, almost took his own life at some point. But going through her apology, she posted an apology on Instagram, which followed a series of comments and messages saying people claiming that she's bullied them over the years. And she said it's been a very humbling few weeks. I know I've been quiet, and Lord knows you don't want to hear about me, but I want you to know I've been sitting a hole of deserved global punishment. The ultimate sit here and think about what you've done. James.
Yes. Um, I mean, you get to that point where you realize that these things actually, or the things that I do, both on social media and offline, um, is actually hurting or people. Um, Before it used to be fun when Christy would talk about the former
Trump.
yes, Trump, because of, I mean, fun to people who also don't like or didn't like him at the time, and they just thought like, and then she has always been very vocal on different subject matters, So, but then again, just because she may not have controlled the way she expressed or the way she spoke up about certain things and even about certain people,
Yeah.
you can now see that you get to that process or that point where you mature mentally to say, oh, this particular action or this particular thing I've said at this point in time is wrong. And it takes a lot of maturity actually and growth again to accept, own up, and apologize. So I feel for her because we have people like that who are still on social media who are still doing this same thing that we're talking about, trolling and not just trolling, because sometimes trolling is just like a fun way of saying it's like being unfair. I don't know, being unfair, unkind, yes, to just because you are at home pressing your phone, So, but I like and I admire what she has
We
done.
have a word for it here. It's dragging.
Indeed. Yeah,
so I
for me,
admire her for what she's doing actually.
yeah, I mean, for me, I think it's unfortunate, but I think this actually connects very nicely to Chimamanda's essay, frankly, because there's a lot of sanctimoniousness now online. Everybody's trying to form like, you know what, we are great and good people and we can't make mistakes. Because Chrissy was the one who said she wanted to leave social media because, of course, people were like targeting her and people were making kind of unkind comments about her and everything. And I'm like, oh, only for us to find out that, like weeks or like months later, that actually you yourself, you are such a person. So but yeah, so this whole idea of people like, trying to act like back, I mean, they are great people online. Meanwhile, look, you have that too in your life, So let's face it. So for me, I think it's the hypocrisy that's more important to me, that she could be saying all of what she said, like not when she had announced that she was going to leave Twitter, and suddenly like, okay, you are not actually innocent of this stuff yourself. So I think there should be room for growth, and I like that, but I also think that more importantly, this whole idea, this hypocritical stance of people being incredibly good, I think it's just killing discourse. It's just killing like the room for debate.
There's a statement that I reserved for this conversation just to summarize it. Somebody said, and you know who it is, we are no longer human beings. We're now angels jostling to out-angel one another.
Exactly.
That's pretty much what we're doing on social media these days.
Exactly.
But on that note, I want to say thank you so much to these gentlemen. Amazing guys. James Silas.
Yeah, James Silas is James Silas on social media everywhere. Instagram, Facebook, WhatsApp. Yeah, those are the ones that I'm right now. One more time, I need to say shout out to my girl Uju. Happy birthday! I love you very much. Have a blast, have fun. I know you're having fun right now where you are.
So
Maybe I think on Saturday I'll come have my wine and cake and jollof rice.
Yes.
You know how we do.
All right.
Go on.
Yeah, for me, happy birthday to Lakumi. I'll be here on Thursday next week, so Lakumi, please, the cake. Thank you. Anyway,
Wow,
and yes,
this guy.
in those days, in the way back then, sometime before Christ or maybe after Christ, actually.
Yeah.
I used to be on Twitter, and it was Cachoris. And I'm on
Wow.
Instagram now, and it's Catch Your Wrist
Do you
Gram.
remember your Facebook password?
CATCHORIS. Catch Your Wrist. Oh, and of course I'm on Facebook also. Catch Your Wrist, or actually it's Oris. I got high
And
wallet.
Clubhouse.
If you can
We're
spell
also
it,
on
if you can spell that.
Clubhouse. We're on
Wow.
Clubhouse.
Yes, as a matter of fact. So yes, Catch Your Wrist Gram. Yeah.
Now acquire social media accounts like you acquire bank account numbers.
I mean,
I mean, I can give that one 01.
10 minutes before 9 o'clock. In that time, at that time, 9, the phone line will be open 0144899881 for a detailed conversation with you online for Lagos Talks 981. The headlines are published in our socials, so please call 0144899881.
So this one ended 1-1. Or is it 2-1?